Hi, this is Jody Colegrove with Quantum Techniques. We have developed a proven technique to quickly determine the root cause of your health issue and what you can do about it using an energy medicine. We work with people all over the world on the phone, helping them determine what they are having an issue with and what they can do about it. And a lot of times what we do is we work with pets and children and things like that where they can't necessarily express what's going on, and we can help diagnose and find out what is going on and how we can help them. So today I wanted to talk about allergies, that a lot of times dogs and cats and have allergies, and why is this happening? And you'll usually find an allergy by the amount of time, like the dog, itches or licks their feet, and what is that being caused by? Or you also find that their belly is very red, and their skin is red. So allergies mean that your dog's immune system is being or has decided to mount an attack against it. And the reason being is because it's being attacked, and it kind of says, okay, I know something's coming out that I don't want in the body, but I'm going to attack not only the tissue but also the substance that's in the tissue that is affecting it. So it mounts an attack against that. And so that's what we have when we have an allergy. So what is causing this? Well, inexpensive, highly processed foods that are like dog foods and things like that you find at the store are typically the culprit. And they also have a lot of growth hormones that can also affect the dogs, antibiotics, pesticides, and chemical residues. And so a dog develops skin issues from that. And the reason being is that the skin is the second largest organ in the body after our gut. And so if our gut is compromised, or the pet's gut is compromised, then it shows up in the skin. And that's why it's trying to detox, and it can't detox through the small intestine, large intestine, so it starts detoxing through the skin and getting that out. So there's a couple other articles that I found very helpful, or things that are happening with pet food. And so I'm going to kind of try to cover some of those. So the diets can also be related to other health issues just besides allergies. So they can cause obesity, cardiovascular disease, gastronomical disorders, and cancers. And they're all because of commercial foods. All right. And the reason being is it's usually grain-based, and those grains sometimes contain toxic chemicals, carcinogens, preservatives, artificial sweeteners, and colors. And it's just a low quality byproducts. And a lot of times what happens is, in order to get the food to be dry, they overcook it so that they don't have harmful bacteria that comes through, but that also destroys all the essential nutrients in the food. So the other thing is that pet foods sometimes include an additive, which is, I'm going to try to say it right, propylene glycol, which is an ingredient in antifreeze. And we've all heard, antifreeze is really bad for dogs. But a lot of times there is a derivative in pet food of that to help make the food moist. And so that is something that we don't want to have in our dog foods. There's also things called animal byproducts. If you've really ever taken the time to study what's in the label, there are things in there that they don't have to label the same way that we label our food. And so therefore they can get away with things that say animal byproducts. Well, what does that mean in dog food? And what that means, it's the leftover slaughterhouse animals after the human parts are removed. They can also contain feathers, hair, gristle, and also fecal matter. And so those are things that we just don't want to give our pets. So what can we do? One of the biggest things we can do is start giving them a much more high quality food. And I give my dog I've gone to websites that show kind of like what is the food label of different pet food manufacturers to find out if they're labeled really good or not. And so that's one thing you can look at. You can also look at organic. I do have to say that unfortunately some of the higher priced foods is that way because they do have more processes are available in making the food better for the dog. So how do you switch over from the foods you were giving to the new foods? And I thought this particular article had a really good way of doing that. So first you start with 25% new food mixed in. then 75% of the old food for the first 3 days. Then you go to 50-50 for the next 3 days, and then you go 75 of the new food and 25 of the old food for 3 days. And so I thought that was a really good transition. You can also watch to see if your dog has any issues or an intestinal switch over. Obviously, that's where quantum techniques would really come in, is to make sure that the dog food that you are going to switch to is good and will be okay for the dog. If you have any detox issues in regards to that, that's something that quantum techniques can easily do. Not only are the foods causing issues, allergies, but it could be what you're putting on your dog's skin, okay? So grooming issues, shampoos and toothpaste. Well, a lot of times shampoos have sulfur, I'll read it here, it has probates, phosphates, and artificial perfumes and dyes, and they can also trigger redness, and that can show up as kind of like, looks like allergies and that redness on the skin. It can cause itching, hives, ulcers, and other allergenic symptoms. Toothpaste also have artificial colors, sweeteners, preservatives, and also that propylene glycate, which is more antifreeze. So what is the solution? So instead of saying, well, I'll just give them the toothpaste I use, that's not a good idea. It can contain something called Xylitol. I say it really bad, but it's Xylitol, Xylitol. And that is very toxic for dogs, so it's really important that we don't give that to them. It can also contain fluoride, and we don't want to give those to dogs. So you could do a mixture of basically an organic toothpaste, of baking soda, and coconut oil. Giving a dog a bone once a week will really help with their teeth and help keep that plaque away. So those are all things that are really helpful to help dogs be able to have a more healthy diet. And you can also give, it was a big misnomer about giving them, dogs table scraps, but really dogs are used to eating, wild things out in nature. And so it's hard, but if a bird hits, the window, leave it in the yard for the dog, unless it's been there, longer than just a day or something like that. But giving the dog raw meat, fruits and vegetables. My particular dog loves broccoli, and so every time we make broccoli, we give her some. So we can test to find out which foods are okay for your dog, and find out whether that would be okay to feed them. There's also different lists you can get on the internet in regards to which vegetables and fruits are okay for dogs. And then also supplement with probiotics, and also curcumin, because that is helps with inflammation and decrease those. So those are all things that are very helpful. One of the last things I wanted to share, which is something that I thought was helpful because I needed to know it, is how do you keep urine stains off of your grass? And I found this interesting. It says, what the best thing to do is the first pee that the dog has in the morning is going to be the most acidic. And that's the acidic is what is killing the grass. So if you go out in the morning and watch where they pee, and then you make sure and water down where they peed, you can also if you do compost, you can take and put some compost where they peed, and that will help, kind of revitalize that area. Dogs' pH tends to, above a 7 tends to kill grass, and a lot of those grain foods that I'm talking about cause that pH level to go high and make their urine more acidic than alkaline. Some of the more vegetables and things like that, that's going to help with that. Let's see here. So that's the kind of the things that they suggest to help with the urine spots in the lawn. So I thought that would be helpful for you. But those are all things that we can help dogs with helping have them a better diet, so that we can keep them around longer, because they are our furry friends. So thank you with Quantum Techniques. You can visit our website at Quantum Techniques and request a session request, and we can find out what your dog is needing and what food is best for them to get rid of those pet allergies. Blessings from Quantum Techniques.